Thanks, Kyle, and thank you, guys and gals, for being here today. What I thought I really would do is just quickly kind of walk everybody through the last 48 hours, and then certainly I'd be happy to take any questions about anything. As everybody knows, there was obviously a lot of social media chatter last week, and anytime those things happen, there's some truth to it, but there's a lot that's not true, and unfortunately that can be misleading and confusing to people, but that's just the reality of it. I think we managed it as well as we possibly could have, Jeff and our coaches and our players in particular. And we got into the weekend, and obviously we're locked in on Saturday and had a terrific win for our football program. Things really heated up Saturday night and intensified in terms of the interest in Jeff, and actually people calling me for the first time. I did not have anybody call me prior to the game, but beginning Saturday night I did, and that certainly heated up again on Sunday as well. And Jeff was tremendous throughout the whole thing. I mean, it really was an absolute, in my opinion, blueprint on how you would want to be communicated to when you're going through something like this. He definitely kept me up to date on every really conversation that he had, and so I always knew where things stood, and he and I visited at length yesterday, and I really thought that at the end of the day yesterday, I really thought it was a 50-50 situation, in that if he had come in today and said he was leaving, I wouldn't have been surprised by that, but by the same token, if he had come in today and said that he had thought it through and that he was going to stay, I wouldn't have been surprised by that either, because of how much he loved this job and how much his family loved living here. But I think ultimately he just got an offer and an opportunity that he just felt for his family he could not turn down. And, as the athletic director, I hate it to lose him as our head coach. As a friend, I hate it because I truly enjoyed working with him every step of the way. But I completely understand it, and I respect it, and I wish him all the best. I really, truly do, because I know he gave our program everything he had, and he certainly deserves the opportunities that have come as a result of the success that he's had here. He notified me at 8 a.m. this morning that he was going to take the Purdue job. He scheduled a team meeting, and he and I met with the players at 10 a.m. I named Nick Holt as the interim head coach, and there was actually a subsequent team meeting at 2:30 to kind of go over some of the bowl items that we have going on, and we're moving forward. So that's really kind of where we are right now, and I would be happy to obviously take your questions. I wasn't at the 2:30 meeting. I was at the 10 a.m. meeting. I think it went pretty well overall. I mean, certainly you could sense a little bit of disappointment in the room just because of the guys, the respect they have for Jeff and how much they enjoyed playing for him. But, we've got a pretty mature group, and I think they understand how it is. And I know they appreciated, Jeff addressing them personally about it. He's not the kind of guy to not do that. But, I think some people would send a group text and move on, and he didn't do that, and I think that helped. So I think all things considered, it went very well. We've got a very resilient group.
Jeff could probably answer it better, but do you think it was the finances and Big Ten conference or something?
Yeah, and like you said, I think it'd be better for him to speak to the specifics, but I do think so. I think the combination of that. I think that Jeff's unique. He's not motivated by the things that a lot of people are motivated by. He's a great family man, and loves his players and loved this job. But certainly when you have an opportunity in the Big Ten at the kind of money that this one was, that's certainly hard to turn down. Well, I think, we obviously have a bowl game to play, and we've had an incredible season. So we really want the focus to be on the game and the preparation for the game. This is finals week right now, so we really don't have anything on the field until Friday. I think the program is to a point now where we owe it to the program to just do our due diligence and to talk to a number of people. I don't really want to get into specifics in terms of who we would talk to and who we wouldn't talk to, but I don't want to rule anything in or out. Certainly, we have a very good situation in-house right now. I feel very good about the leadership that we have, and obviously there's some interest externally as well, and we'll just let the process play its way out.
Would you like to have someone named by the bowl game, or would you prefer right after?
I don't think it's so much about the timetable. I think really what it is just letting the process play its way out a little bit. And ultimately, people ask the question, what are you looking for in a head coach? Who will you hire? The person we will hire will be the one that will keep this train rolling. That is what we will do.
Out of everybody to name as the term head coach, why Coach Bolt?
He's been here every step of the way. He came in with Coach Brom on Coach Petrino's staff and has played a vital role over the last 4 years in the success that we've had. And he's currently our associate head coach, so to me it was a logical move there.
Timing-wise, is it better that it happens before the bowl game for Coach Brom to move on, or would it have been better afterwards?
Well, ideally you'd like to have your head coach for the bowl game, and that to me is the one blemish, or I'm not sure what the exact word would be, with college football, and there's no real great solution to it. But if you think about it, when you have coaching changes in college basketball, coaches always finish out the tournament. So if a team has a great season, if they win their conference, if they have a Cinderella season, the head coach is still with the team really through the end of the tournament. College football, unfortunately, that doesn't happen, and teams will have great seasons, and quite often a team that has a great season, especially if they're in a group of 5 conference, their head coach isn't with the team for the bowl game, and that's unfortunate, because that's what you really build towards all year long. But that's just the reality of it. That's just the way it works. And when you have a month between the end of the true regular season and the end of the bowl season, people really can't wait that long. You have a recruiting time period that's coming up. And so that's the world we live in. But I'm confident with Nick as our interim coach and all the other coaches that are here, and the resiliency of our players, that we'll be fine, and these guys will represent very, very well down in Florida. Well, anytime that you have somebody that does an outstanding job and you lose them, it's disappointing. But I would say that I would always much rather have the challenges that come with winning than the challenges that come with losing. And if you go back to 3 years ago, the day we introduced Jeff, I'm sure you all, I'll date myself here with this, but I'm sure you guys remember the Let's Make a Deal game show. And for those of you who don't remember that show, my son probably doesn't remember that show, but the way that worked is you were presented an option, and you could take that option or you could turn it down, and you could choose something behind door 2, 3, or 4, not knowing what was behind door 2, 3, or 4, but it might be better, it might be worse. And obviously if you turned down the offer that you had, you would assume that the door you chose would be better. Well, 3 years ago, if we were playing Let's Make a Deal and somebody would have said, okay, you've just hired Jeff Brom, you can go 30-10, you can go to 3 bowl games, you can win 2 conference championships, and then you'll lose him, you can take that, or you can turn it down and choose another door, I would have taken that. If you had told me that these 3 years would have gone the way that they've gone, that we'd had the success that we've had, the record-setting performances that our players have had, finish in the top 25, and just be where we are with back-to-back 10-win seasons, which I think is the all-time high water mark for our program, I would have taken that. Now, ideally, I would like to have taken that and still have Jeff here, but I understand how it works, and you just have to deal with it.
Is there any advantage now with Willie Taggart, Bobby Petrino, now Jeff Brom, coming here, establishing themselves, and in case Petrino reestablishing and moving on to bigger schools? Is that an advantage in some way in terms of being able to go out and recruit the next coach, that this is a place we can come and make that sort of impact?
Well, I think this is definitely on the outside seen as a great job, and certainly better than probably it was perceived to be 5 or 6 years ago. Certainly when jobs open up, people want to know all the normal things, but I think they want to know, well, what can happen if I succeed there? And you just laid it out. Our last 3 head coaches have won here and left, for great opportunities. And obviously the last 2 are going to the ACC and the Big Ten. Those kind of things have happened in our basketball program historically. We've lost coaches to the power leagues, obviously never before in football before. So, the program's come a long, long way, and we're in a very good spot right now. And I like where we are. I'd like to be dealing with the challenges we're dealing with right now versus what the challenges that many people have to deal with.
How was this year's pursuit from Jeff different than last year's after coming off of a better season last year?
The pursuit by other schools. Well, I think he had better opportunities this year than what he had last year. But to his credit, he had opportunities last year too. He wasn't chasing a job. He wasn't looking to leave. He was very content to stay here. But I think he was aggressively courted this year, by some big time programs, and that's just a product of winning. That's what happens when I think our program it's not just a program that wins. It's one now that's winning at a high level, and obviously people notice that.
Will you talk to Jeff at all to get his insight on candidates for his replacement?
Well, he and I have a great relationship, and we've talked about a lot of things all along, and certainly got into that a little bit today. And yeah, I will. I think I will. Reach out to him at the appropriate time and see what he says about see what he thinks about some things.
I've seen some players today talking about the fan support, the showing Saturday from the fans, the competition championship. I know obviously have a pretty group of solid fans, the ticket sales for that and other things was, I guess, the disappointing considering the mistakes that were in place.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie to you. I think it was disappointing Saturday because, and not for me, I was disappointed for our players and our coaches because to have the kind of success that they have had and to be going for history, the way they were, you would hope that is what you would lead to a 20,000 seat stadium, and obviously that didn't happen. Now I don't want this to turn into I'm bashing the fans. I'm critical of the fans. We have great fans. We have some great fans. I mean, there's a core group that drove 12 hours in the snow to Detroit to see our first bowl game, who sat out in the rain in Oxford, Ohio to watch us earlier this year, that literally baked at the Vanderbilt game here this year, that went to Miami last year for the bowl game, that will go to Boca Raton this year for the bowl game. What we need is just more. We just need more of it. And I really think, I've thought about this over and over and over, and I've analyzed it as best I can, and I've talked to people, and I really kind of see it like this. Years ago, really like 2008 to 2011, I think our program was ahead of our team. And what I mean by that is I think the facilities that we had, the fan support that we had, the infrastructure that we had was greater than what the results on the field were. That when we were going 2-10, 0-12, 2-10, and then 7-5, the infrastructure and the facilities were greater than what the wins and the losses were. A good problem to have is where we are now, but I think the team's ahead of the program. I think the team is now winning, at a higher level than the program, and that's probably just the normal growth of a program, where then the fan support catches up again too, and then all of a sudden we're still winning, and we have 20,000 on a consistent basis. We've had 20,000, but just not as much as we would like to, and hopefully that will come because our students too. Our students have been great, but we just need them to come to every game. Not just the Thursday night games and not just the Saturday, September, and October games. We need them to come to every game. But the ones who came Saturday were great. The berm was packed. They were energetic. They stormed the field afterwards. So it's not a problem of fan support, and I don't think it's a problem of awareness. I couldn't go anywhere the last couple weeks without people talking about the football team and talking about hosting the championship game. So people know about it. It just hasn't translated to people filling the stadium on a consistent basis. But I really believe if we keep doing what we've been doing, keep producing at the level we've been producing at, we're winning, and it's a high-flying team that's fun to watch, that scores a lot of points. I think that day will come when we'll have both, when we'll win at a high level and fill the stadium on a consistent basis.
Kind of going off that too, just how important. I know you've referenced hires in the past that haven't worked out in the first schools for years after that. How important is it?
Well, it's huge. It's always important, regardless of where you are, but I think our program has climbed so high right now and is perceived so favorably nationally that we absolutely have to keep this going. And I'm confident that we will. We will keep the train rolling. We will do that. But we have no margin for error. Notre Dame is paying somebody $19 million not to coach their team. Baylor and Texas are paying people $11 million not to coach their team. And nobody has more resources than those schools do. And yet, it didn't work out for them. So it's no exact science. It is not an exact science. It's a very competitive, complicated world that we live in college athletics. But I feel good about where we are as a program and the interest that we'll have and the current leadership that we have, and we'll get through this fine, and we'll keep marching on.
Anything else from Todd?
Todd, it seems like Coach Braun loved not only his players but the community of Bowling Green. Can you summarize what you think Braun meant to you and also the West Kentucky University as a whole?
Well, you always talk about when you finding somebody that's a right fit, and I think Jeff Brom, as it unfolded and as it turned out, was the perfect fit. He was an outstanding football coach. We won at a high level. Our players loved him. His family loved living here, and our community liked him. He coached Little League Baseball. He was embedded in the community. So I think people appreciated that, and they sort of felt like he was one of them, and vice versa. This was a hard decision for him. This was not a tap-in, putt, no-brainer. It was a hard decision for him, but that's a good thing. That means that it worked out well for a lot of people, and as I alluded to before, it did. And as a result of where we are right now and the opportunities we have ahead of us, I think that our program's at the highest point it's ever been because of the success at this level. And what our job is to do is to keep that going and add to it, and that's what we intend to do.
Anything else in the room?
You mentioned that you would likely to speak with Jeff Brom about possible transfers. Is there a short list of time?
Well, not so much about possible candidates. He's got a job to do at Purdue, and I have a job to do here. But I think nobody knows our program as well as he knows it, and so what I was referring to, more just his input, in terms of fits for the program and some of the details, just to make sure that there's nothing that I'm not aware of. I don't really want to get into the candidates. Every athletic director in America has a short list of people that they would have if a job were open up, and certainly I have that too. But beyond that, I don't really have anything to add.
Is there anything from the phone?
Yeah, Todd, Tim Sullivan from the Courier talking about resources, and I think the consensus is that Purdue can be a very hard place to win. Did you feel as if the money was just so much that there really was no ability to either counter or compete?
Well, there was definitely no ability to counter, for sure. But I don't think it would be fair to Jeff to make it seem as though that was the only thing. I think that in some respects, if we're all honest about it, what more could he really do here? We could keep doing what we're doing, but we won 12 games and we're ranked in the top 25, and won our league, then won our league again, and won 10 games, and sure, we could keep, as we will, keep going for conference championships and try to have an undefeated season and try to get up into one of the playoff bowls. But I think, he probably felt that he had accomplished about as much here as a head coach as he could. And I think that he's at a stage of his career where he just felt motivated by the challenge at Purdue. He knows what the perception is out there, and he knows how the last two head coaching tenures there have turned out. And I think certainly the Big Ten is very strong right now with Penn State and Michigan's resurgence, and obviously, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Iowa. It's just a very, very good conference. But I think, great players are motivated by challenges, and so are great coaches. And I think Jeff sees it as a challenge, but I think I really believe he's motivated by that.
I think his age played a factor here. He's not a kid waiting around for the perfect job.
Well, I just think if we could all write a script on our life and have things unfold the way we want it to, that would be ideal. But, that's not how it works, obviously. And there's always the known versus the unknown. And, what I was hoping, what my kind of selling point to him was is stay here, let's keep doing this, let's build on it, and you'll have even bigger and better opportunities down the line. And I believe he would have. But it's still the known versus the unknown, and the opportunity that he had right now was a great one, and obviously he felt he needed to act on that, and I understand that.
Thank you.
Anything else from the phone? Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Coming, everyone.